Alrighty, hi everyone. My name is Taylor Artist. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm going to be introducing you to me. So I have my notes down here, so I'm going to be looking down here. It's so I stay on track. So I am from a little bit of everywhere. I was born in Virginia, and when I was around 6, we moved to a suburb outside Houston, and then after about 5 or so years, moved to a suburb outside Dallas, which is where we lived until I graduated high school from Frisco, Texas. After high school, I attended Iowa State University, where I majored in psychology, minored in linguistics, with what I thought was the goal of becoming a speech language pathologist, and then just somewhere down the line kind of changed my mind from that path. When I was in school, I worked actually almost entirely in student affairs. So I spent a year as a tutor at our Academic Success Center. I spent a year in our IRHA or RHA exec board, 2 years as a resident assistant in housing, and then I worked for 3 years in campus rec, working my way up to actually one of 3 highest student positions that were offered in the department, which totally love my time in campus rec. I'm currently a residence hall director at the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. So that's where I live right now, is Stevens Point, Wisconsin, kind of right in the middle of the state with my partner, Brandon. I really love sports. I love going on walks outside. When I walk, I love listening to true crime podcasts. Honestly, I love going to sleep to true crime podcasts. I don't know, something about, just a good murder, like retelling, just puts me right out. And my immediate family consists of, I have a mom and a dad, and then a brother who actually just graduated high school this couple weeks ago. So as far as identities go, just kind of rattle them off here. I would consider myself an able-bodied cisgender female. I'm from the United States. I'm an African American or Black, so I identify. I am 23 years old. I'm a Pisces, if you're into that. I was raised Christian, currently undecided, I guess is the way to phrase that. I speak English fluently. I did take a couple years of ASL in college, so I have a pretty baseline understanding of communicating through ASL. I grew up upper middle class, I would say, and then now, on my own as an adult, I'm definitely middle class. I have primarily gone to school and worked at institutions or schools that would be considered primarily white, and those have absolutely impacted my work. I think I had a pretty significant case of imposter syndrome there for it's still there, like let's just be real. I think I often try to outwork my 2 most prominent or salient identities, which are being a Black woman, thinking that I had to do, there's a phrase just says that like Black women or Black people have to do twice as much to get half as far, and so definitely working through some of my own internal things, getting through that. I think also I have several subordinate identities, referencing the reading, and I also have some dominant identities, which have led to struggling to feel like I belong anywhere. For example, I grew up going to schools that were great school districts. My parents worked to make sure that we were in great school districts, and so I was very well educated. And a lot of times when I would get around Black people, which there weren't that many, but like for example, when we went back home to Virginia, a lot of my family would say that I sound white or spoke too proper, and so I never really felt like I fit all the way in with them, and I definitely didn't fit all the way in with white people and white children, because obviously I'm not white. So I think that it's really led me to understand how important intersectionality is, and understanding how identities work together to shape who we are, and how each one of those identities, subordinate or dominant, the value that they hold, and how they add to who we are as people. I think that kind of relates to the video that we watched. By the way, I love that woman. She does the speaking in Beyonce's song Flawless. She's incredible. Anyway, so just like the danger of a single story, like she talks about, like I have been guilty of this myself, and I think that other people have been guilty of it with me, hearing me talk and saying that I sound so I speak so well, and it's like, well, yeah, I was raised in America and I really only speak English, so like there's no other way that I could honestly sound. But you know, that's probably because of an experience I had with one or two Black people who perhaps didn't sound as educated, and so just it's so dangerous, and we just have to learn that, like, and I think what I try to remember is like one experience with one person, not only is that not representative of an entire group of people, but it may not even be representative of who they are. Like one moment, one snapshot in time, like you might have caught someone at like a really bad moment, and you are now trying to equivocate, you know, that one experience with who they are as a whole human being. You know, that's what we do. People put things in categories, and it's like that might not even be who they are, let alone, you know, you trying to equate it to a whole group of people. So stereotypes can be super dangerous. Going to theory, I was a psych major, like I said, so studied tons of theorists in school. They were really, really boring when I was in college. I kind of just had the idea that like these old white men came up with all this stuff that now I had to learn about, and got through my Psych 101 class as quickly as I could. But I think now it's realizing that theorists laid the foundation for what we can expand on, or we continue to expand on now. So like bricks, you know, in a foundation of a home, and they put together and put out this literature and these empirical observations and these experiments so that we have something now to build, to look back on first of all, and then to improve upon or expand upon now. So I had to write a lot of papers in college based on theorists. I also took a lot of sociology and philosophy courses, if you kind of see the similarities between philosophers and theorists. So quite a bit of experience with those. I think now I've definitely grown to appreciate the value that they provide a lot more than I did, you know, 3 or 4 years ago. As far as my beliefs about the development of college students, well, I'm a first year professional. So I'm still learning about college students as a group, first of all. But I think that what I've really noticed is, and what I know from being in college, is that college is about trial and error, and being a student is about trial and error. And I get the opportunity to be a primary conduct hearing officer in my position, and so I get to talk to students sometimes after they've made poor choices, and I just learning that students need support through the errors that they make, you know, through those trials, and they need support in growth. They a lot of times need to be pushed and challenged and encouraged to get out of their comfort zone. And I'm a really firm believer that growth only occurs through discomfort. And so it's really about identifying what each particular student needs, because we can say as a whole, like, college students need support. Awesome. What does that look like for a first gen student, and what does that look like for a queer identifying student, and what does that look like for someone with a learning disability, or you know, and it's different. And what does it look like for a person with primarily dominant identities who just is struggling maybe with making connections. And so I've gotten practice with that through my student staff, with practicing being able to identify and learn and ask the right questions to find out what a student needs support-wise. And next year, I think I want to do better with that right off the bat, hopefully with the knowledge that I gained from my first year and through this course, with just supporting students with what we now know about like general college student development. So yeah, that's me. Feel free to ask me any questions that you may have. Thanks.